This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
Welcome to Moments of Clarity with Tiffany Werner, licensed mental health counselor in the state of Florida. Moments of Clarity's mission is to educate and end the stigma on mental health through the inspirational stories of our exceptional guests. You can join in the show by calling Tiffany toll-free at 866-826-1340 or on Facebook and Twitter at MOC with Tiffany. Now, here's Tiffany Werner.
Hi, thanks for listening. My name is Tiffany Werner. I'm a licensed mental health counselor, and I'm your host. And today I have a special guest with me. He is a local celebrity to so many that like radio talk and that listen to rush hour traffic, especially politics, religion. He likes to give his opinion and cause debate. And here in the local area on 820 AM and 98.3
FM and 96.7 FM in Pinellas and Hillsborough, respectively.
Yeah, so he's actually pretty well known around here. He's got a face for radio.
Yeah, exactly. You're not supposed to say that. I'm supposed to say that.
We're on film, too. And then on top of that, he's just a really nice guy. And I want to welcome to Moments of Clarity, Chris Ingram.
Thanks for having me. It's good to be here.
So, Chris, you have your own show. It's from 3 to 6 p.m., 5 days a week, right?
Yeah, Monday through Friday, 3 to 6.
And what's your show primarily about?
It's politics, current events, news, opinion, really whatever is kind of trending that people are talking about that are interested in. I focus on a lot of that. But I also like to get off the beaten path and talk about things that maybe people aren't really thinking about but are just intriguing to me, and maybe trying to create a debate on things that you're not reading on the front page of your newspaper as well.
Right, that people are sugarcoating or ignoring.
Yeah, calling out. I've got a history of calling out. I used to write columns for the Tampa Tribune and the Tampa Bay Times, and the political analyst for Bay News 9. So, I'm an opinion guy, and I like to give my opinion, and I get paid to do it on radio. It's awesome. It's
a beautiful thing to get paid doing what you love.
Yeah, it sure is.
Yeah, on The Dark Knight, the Joker says, if you're good at something, never do it for free.
That's right.
What's my problem, though? That's a whole different story. So I want to welcome callers to call in, 866-826-1340. Once again, 866-826-1340. Join the discussion. We're on till 1. And give your feedback, support, or any questions you might have.
Or opinion.
826-1340. Or opinion. He is here to tell you you're wrong.
But we said no politics, right?
No politics or religion on this show. At least I don't.
Right.
So we'll see what happens with you. I stay away from those. Those are topics that have nothing to do with mental health, because mental health is across the board. It doesn't discriminate on if you're Republican, Democratic, or what religion you are. It's everywhere.
It can be applicable to anyone, sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And any race, any country, everywhere. Everywhere. Mental health.
It's everywhere.
And so, Chris, tell us a little bit about your history, growing up. Did you always want to get into radio, or...
Yeah, I think, in a way I did. When I was little, around 6 or 7 years old, my dad gave me a Mr. microphone that you could...
Mr. Mike?
Yeah, you remember those?
Is it the plastic one
that
has
a plastic
little
one, had a little switch. It was white. It was kind of shaped like a banana. It had a little cord that dangled down it, which was its antenna and transmitter. And you could tune it into, like 88 something on the FM dial, or maybe it was AM, I don't remember. And it would actually transmit what you said over the air for about 150 feet. So
cool.
My sisters could be in their bedroom and listen to me, but probably the neighbor across the street didn't know anything about it. But those were cool. And I used to do that when I was a little kid. I used to like to get the newspaper. No. It was always
that's why they were supportive.
News. I've been like a news junkie since I was a little kid, and I would get on and I'd read the news or read a newspaper article and then kind of come up with an explanation of it, a summary, if you will, in my own opinion. And I used to do that, and I used to want to be...
You've been like this since day one. Like
yeah, in a way, I have.
Good for you. You followed your dream, and that's always a perk.
Well,
that's always great.
I guess in a way I've ended up there, but I didn't know that I was going in that direction when I was, late teens, early 20s, after college. I was doing other things, and I always had an interest in the media. And like, for example, I was in politics, and I worked as a press secretary to a United States senator. And
Wow.
so that's obviously politics and media related. And pretty much after that, everything that I did in Washington, D.C., I spent about 10 years up there. Everything that I did was somehow related to policy, politics, and media. And so it was just kind of natural for me.
What kind of inside intel did you find out on politics?
Oh, all sorts of stuff. You have to listen to my show to get that. We're not.
Yeah.
You said I can't talk about politics.
I want
here
some
today.
GI-15 or G-15 classified information or G-14.
Yeah, right,
what was that, Rush Hour? Chris Rock.
But no, so yeah,
G-14 classified.
I did a lot of different things, and I just kind of ended up here. But I was telling you before that when I was, maybe 7 or 8 years old, we had a neighbor that lived across the street. He was this old retired medical doctor. His name was Doc Ewing. And I remember him asking me when I was a little kid, what do you want to be when you grow up? And, I was 7 or 8 years old. I said all the knucklehead things that 7 or 8 year old boys would say, cowboy or a policeman or a fireman or something like that. And I remember him telling me.
Those are pretty cool things to be.
Yeah, cowboy especially. I remember him telling me, he cited an old Art Linkletter quote. Art Linkletter is a famous actor, guy from 100 years ago. And he said Art Linkletter used to have a quote whereby he said, when you're thinking about what you want to do in life, find something that you really love that you would be willing to do for nothing, and then find a way to get paid for it.
Oh, that's brilliant.
And while I ended up finding something that I love to do, which is give my opinion and get paid for it, I can't say that I was following Doc Ewing and Art Linkletter's advice in that it wasn't a conscious decision, the route that I took. I just ended up here. But, even with the stuff that I've done over the years on Bay News 9 and writing political columns and stuff, getting paid for that kind of stuff, it's cool. But it's never been something that I've done exclusively as my profession, if you will. It was more, kind of fun to do and beer money, if you will. Mm-hmm. Whereas the radio gig is kind of a full-time thing now. And, I set my sights on it. I set a goal for myself about 5 years ago that I was going to give up being a political consultant, and I was going to focus exclusively on radio because of all the mediums that I participated in, either as a columnist and, an author of columns, writing for newspapers and magazines, or being on television. And when I was in D.C., I used to do a lot of Fox and CNN and, all the networks and stuff like that. The thing that I really like is radio. I just love the format of radio. And I just decided about 5 years ago, I'm going to set a goal, and that's what it's going to be, and I'm going to go do it. And here I am. I've been doing my own show for about a year now.
Wow, that's great. You know what I admire about you the most also is that you're not afraid to give your opinion, and if anybody, of having anyone disagree with you or debate you on it.
Yeah, no, I'm not.
You stand strong, and that takes a lot of courage. So what got you to that point?
I'm not sure. I've been an opinionated guy. I guess it was probably a lot from my upbringing and being challenged and making me think about things and then express myself and back it up. And, I can attribute that and appreciation for my parents probably, as well as some of my teachers. I can think about Mr. Godley from high school, who was my history teacher.
Shout out to Mr. Godley from high school.
Yeah, he actually unfortunately passed away a few years ago. But
shout out to Godley from high school.
Mr. Ogden was my English teacher in high school in 12th grade. He was the same way. He was always encouraging kids to think and to, challenge them and to express themselves and to give their opinion, but back it up, using things like reason, logic, common sense, and facts, which is kind of my little moniker.
Say that really fast 3 times.
Reason, logic, common sense, and facts. It's what I try to use when I apply things about all the things that I think, say, or do. I say it on my show all the time.
Reason,
yeah. Reason, logic, common sense, and facts.
That's pretty cool. On that note, I'm on his show tomorrow.
Yeah.
So we'll see unless something else comes, might get rescheduled. But so this is
3:30 tomorrow.
Scratch your back, scratch mine.
Yeah, right.
I go up there. I don't know what I'm into because he's just like he's already said. That's the topic for my show. So
yeah, you said we can't talk about politics here, but my show is all about politics. So be ready.
Yeah, and so I'm not going to have a lot to say about it. I'll tell you that. But
you'd be surprised what I can draw out of someone.
Me too. You really want to go at that? I thought we were playing nice right? here, and now I already know. So what was it like? When was your moment of clarity?
For what? When
life.
About what I wanted to do.
Have you ever gone through something hard and come out at the other end and learned from it?
Well, I would say professionally, a couple things. Yeah, getting into radio is the hardest thing that I've ever had to do.
What do you mean?
Well, it's a business that's really tough to break into. And again, going back, I used to be on Fox and CNN and MSNBC and all that stuff when I was in Washington, D.C. I've written columns for newspapers, for the Washington Times, for the National Review, for our local papers, the Tribune and the Times here.
So you had a really great resume.
Yeah, I mean, I've done a lot in media. I've done a lot of high-profile stuff. I've been at, upper echelons of the government, was chief of staff to a member of Congress, press secretary to a United States senator, all that kind of stuff. It all those things kind of just
a lot.
fell into my lap, out of just sheer luck, it seemed so easy for me. People will say to me, no, Chris, it's because you know what you're doing and that kind of thing. But to me, it just seems like it just happened and it was so easy and natural. Whereas the radio gig has just been really hard to break into. I mean, I set that goal about 5 or 6 years ago, and it wasn't up until this time last year that I got my full-time show on 820.
Yeah, it takes at least 3 to 4 years of on-air experience for them to even consider somebody. But kind of like with certain pop stars, I think Taylor Swift or Justin Bieber, they had drumsticks or a guitar in their hand when they were young. Yeah. You had a microphone, and it's really great that your parents supported that and that you wanted to follow through. You set your goals, you knew what you wanted, and you made sure that you followed the path that would lead you to a lot of knowledge about a lot of things that you're focused on. Yeah. That's why I don't talk about religion and politics. First of all, because it's mental health says everything about it. Right. But you ask me something mental health, and I'll know what I'm talking about. It's my job, Well,
that's funny you say that because I made the mistake one time, and it was only once. I was called by Fox News Channel when I was up in D.C. to come on as a commentator, a pundit, which I had done many, many times for them. And they called me up and they said, hey, can you come in this afternoon at 3 o'clock or whatever for a hit? And I said, yeah, sure. And then I said, well, what's it about? And they said, I think it was about education policy. Mm-hmm. And I paused for a brief second. I thought, I don't know anything about education policy. But I didn't want to tell them no because I had a track record of making myself available whenever they called. I would say yes, I would be there just to kind of stay in their good graces and make it easy for them. Mm-hmm. And it was always not demanding or anything like that. So I said yes, just to be accommodating.
Take every opportunity possible. Why not? You never know.
And it wasn't even for me like, oh, this is great. It's an opportunity for me to be on TV because I've done that so many times. It's like, it almost had become second nature and it wasn't that big a deal. But I didn't want to say no to them. So I said yes. And I went on a couple hours later at 3 o'clock and I knew absolutely nothing about the subject matter that we were talking about. And I'm sure it showed, and I looked like a fool. I won't make you look like a fool. But yeah, that was a learning lesson. Don't go on national television and talk about a subject that you know nothing about.
Yes, absolutely. And I think some of our listeners, and we know some people out there that try to talk about mental health when they don't really know mental health. And
you got to take care of those people.
Take care of them. Yeah. What are you going to
whip them in shape?
Well,
put them in line.
I don't think they realize that they're doing that. So there's a lot of mental health advocates that quote that call themselves advocates or specialists or whatever, and they didn't go to school, and it's almost toxic at times to other people, and they're fictitious. They're talking about stuff that they don't know about, or they're not really living, and so it makes some people look like we're doing the same thing, or that it's not real, or it's not to be taken seriously. And so that's the disservice that they're doing to the mental health community. Yeah. Absolutely. But I want to get into a little bit more of the past of a radio talk show host and how following your dreams leads you to that, and also the backlash of handling all the controversy that you bring up with your opinion. But for now, we're going to take our first break, and we'll be back with Moments of Clarity in just a moment. Stay tuned.
You're listening to Moments of Clarity with Tiffany Werner. We welcome your input at 866-826-1340. Tiffany will be right back after this.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
Hi, this is Tiffany Werner, your host of Moments of Clarity. Living with a mental health disorder is not easy. If you or someone you know are struggling with this, please know it's so important to seek treatment and and I'm here to help. Please visit the website at momentsofclaritywithtiffany.com to view blog posts and resources on this site to help educate and inspire you to take action, because there's no shame in seeking help for mental health. While you're there, please take a few seconds to sign up for my email list. You'll get some extremely valuable educational and entertaining content that can be sent right to your inbox each week. Plus, you'll also get instant and free access to my guide on managing your anxiety. You can also follow me on Twitter at MOC with Tiffany and at Facebook at Tiffany Warner. And once again, the website is momentsofclaritywithtiffany.com. Thank you so much for your support and for listening to your show, because change can only come when we stand together as one.